Now I've taken a look at a lot of controllers on this channel, everything from retro looking ones to very expensive, kind of high-end controllers with OLED screens in them. But I've yet to take a look at a first-party controller that is this expensive. Today, we're going to be taking a look at this, the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, and seeing if it's actually worth almost $90. Hello and welcome. My name is Wolfie. You're watching GreaterThanPie, and today we're taking a look at this controller. Now, Nintendo's Pro controllers have been an interesting topic, at least for me, for quite a while now. I actually loved the Wii U Pro controller, which made it so that I would get the Switch Pro controller. And I did actually play a lot of games using the Switch Pro controller as opposed to the default configuration using the Joy-Cons. And the big advantage to the Pro controller is it's usually more comfortable. But this time, Nintendo did something a little bit different. They added extra buttons, and they made it more comfortable. And then they charged an exorbitant rate for it. Now, the one thing that these controllers always had going for them is extremely long battery life, so we'll see if that transfers over here. Right out of the gate, there's not much to this packaging at all. Kind of nice for recyclability. There is this plastic piece though that's not too good, but I mean, oh, she's a little bit, wait a second. This is, this feels great. Like, okay, the original Pro controller, let me grab one. The original Pro controller is good, but this part, the actual like palm part, isn't as long as it is here. This actually grips almost like a GameCube controller. Like, my hands feel really nice in this. So we don't have analog triggers on this thing at all, but the sticks, they feel pretty good. They are analog as well. Standard face buttons. Nintendo's been doing this thing with these big face buttons. It's actually really nice. So feel-wise, it's great. And there's actually this like slightly sparkly finish to it. It's actually kind of nice looking. And I do really like the matte gray. It's tasteful and it feels great. In fact, this is the first time I'm holding a trigger with like the back triggers, and it actually feels pretty good. So then let's talk about inputs. This thing does have the standard X inputs, which is A, B, X, Y in Nintendo's format, which is, you know, A button up top, B button down below. This has been sort of their thing for a very long time. We have both our start and select, which are plus and minus, home and that would be a capture button. Yeah, home and capture. And then we have the brand new chat button, which is for voice chat. Our D-pad, you know, Nintendo makes good D-pads, and it feels good. That's all I can say. Sticks feel freaking great, especially compared. There's like a little bit of extra tension, and I like it. We have both bumpers and triggers. Both of these are standard inputs, none of them are analog. And then we also have grip buttons along the back. And the grip buttons are the first time that I've had grip buttons that actually feel intentionally designed for the controller. Like, my hands are resting here perfectly, and they don't feel like they're gonna get in the way. Feels nice. We'll see how it works in gameplay. There's also a headphone jack right there on the bottom of the controller. And it's standard size. No special adaptation needed, no weird compatibilities. It just works. And on the top, of course, we have our sync button, our USB-C, and our controller indicators and status light. So, I mean, overall, this thing feels kind of good. I don't know if it feels $90 good, but it feels pretty good. And so I think what I need to do is I need to get this set up and start racing in Mario Kart and see how it goes. And maybe play some Cyberpunk. Okay, getting this thing set up is actually really easy. All you gotta do is connect the USB-C to the USB-A on the dock, and everything just connects. There is a sync button that's a little bit more tricky to use in a whole syncing process, but I've always found that just connecting it wired and then turning it on is the most comfortable way to actually get it set up. Now, once it's connected, it can do everything from turning on the console to, well, just playing games. I mean, if you connect it, it works exactly as you would expect. But there are some features that aren't as you would expect. Believe it or not, the grip buttons can be mapped in-game and with very little hassle. By holding down the home button, you can bring up a quick menu that will allow you to actually select what those grips do.
And even crazier is if you have the charging grip, which also has grip buttons, that configuration will transfer over, meaning you do not have to remap if you are for some reason switching controllers, or if you bought the charging grip and then decided to upgrade to the Pro controller. Additionally, each game and each user are mapped separately. So if I am playing my Switch and I have a very weird combination that I specifically find comfortable, and then my sibling comes around and decides to play and wants to set up a completely different mapping, they can do that. And if you look at it right here, Mario Kart has one mapping that is set up, and then Cyberpunk has a different mapping set up. And I did not have to change anything. It just did it. And as crazy as it sounds, that is not standard on this kind of controller with mappable buttons. In fact, with the ROG one that I have, you have to select the profile manually. And with the 8-bit Do one, you also have to manually switch it. So that feature alone is pretty awesome. I think the only other controllers that can do that are the Razer one and maybe the Scuff one. Not 100% sure on the Scuff, but I do know that the Razer Wolverine can do it if it's connected to a PC and the person set up a profile for that game. This is all automatic, and it is actually a really nice to have. Additionally, the controller is really nice to use. It's comfortable, it's good over long periods of time, and I didn't really notice any latency issues that would be indicative of a low quality controller. The HD rumble on this thing is also insane. I picked up on HD rumble for the first time ever when actually using this, and it's because the detail in the rumble is just hard to explain. There's a moment in my Let's Play of Mario Kart World where I drive over some wooden planks and you could feel the individual feeling of those planks. It's a very real feeling, and it works amazingly. Now, the one thing I could not quite get going, and it might be just because I have too good of headphones, was the headphone jack at the bottom. I do believe that I need to get something like some earbuds that are a little bit low power to plug those in there and see if maybe I can get that to work. Because I do have Sennheiser 6XXs, and those, they don't play nice with a lot of things. So maybe a lower impedance headset might work, but I did not get it to work on this controller out of the box. And I may have to look at documentation to see if maybe it's got the same limitation that the Asus controller has, which is that it has to be hardwired in to do it.
You know, this is a weird one, because this is actually a very high quality controller. The sticks feel great. Long play time, I felt absolutely no controller fatigue. And that, you cannot take that for granted. There are some really good controllers that I recommend that do still have that problem. I feel as if it's higher quality than an Xbox controller. And that is saying something, because those controllers do typically run for around $60, sometimes $50. Now, I haven't put an Elite controller in my hands, so I can't really talk about that yet. But when it comes to actual first-party controllers, this one's very solid. The problem is its price. At $90 post-tariffs, this thing is expensive. And compared to the original, the improvements are marginal, but definitely there. I do think this feels like a higher quality controller than the original does. I think the ergonomics are better on this than the original, and it has extra functionality that the original does not, especially when used with the Switch 2. But you can still buy original Pro controllers, brand new, in box, for $50 to $60, depending on where you go for them. Where this one, you're probably going to have a hard time finding it, and even worse, it's $90. And when you compare it to something like, say, the 8-bit Do Ultimate 2, which I think is a good controller, I actually do experience controller fatigue with this one, particularly around like the 3-hour mark, where I don't with this one. This is a good controller, especially if they make a version that works with the Switch 2. Granted, I've heard mixed things about how 8-bit Do's connectivity works with the Nintendo Switch 1, so that would be something that we'd have to test separately. And this, at $60, is very, very high quality. but you can feel, like physically feel, the quality of this one versus this one, despite this one having way more features. And even controllers like this, which are actually very expensive, have a screen in them, are a little bit overpriced, and again, have really cool features, they actually don't feel like something about how the plastic, the knurling, the sticks themselves, like it's really hard to explain. Like this is the sound of this stick. It's dampened, where this is same amount of force. So like there's little details like that that just make this thing feel solid and sound solid. And I think it has a pretty damn big battery in it because I've charged it all of once and I haven't had to charge it since. So this thing's cool. It's great. It works awesome, but $90 is a lot. 80 would be pushing it, but would be doable because it does feel like an $80 controller. It does not feel like a $90 controller. Granted, the only controller I have over the cost of this one is this, and it feels better quality than this. Asus, this thing's most regrettable controller purchase I think I've ever had. Digressing, I do think that there are going to be better options at some points, but when it comes to first party, this thing is pretty damn good. And I do like it. It has a feel to it that is very similar to the original Pro controller. The ABXY almost feel exactly the same. They're bigger so that when you've got a big thumb like mine, there's less pressure while holding inputs for a long period of time. The lack of analog on the triggers is, it's give or take, right? If you play a lot of racing games that have analog trigger support, having analog triggers is nice. But here's the thing. Most of the time, I actually run both of these controllers, which have switch triggers, in their button clicking mode because I actually do like this specifically for fast inputs and fast input games. So as much of a downside as not having analog is, and how they could have at this price added the stop triggers that do the whole switching, I do think that it's not the worst decision in the world, especially because Nintendo is going to have games that are going to cater to specifically this style of controller. Since the Switch 2's Joy-Cons also have this type of controller. The back paddles are as niche as they were on every single other controller I own. You can sometimes find a use for them and sometimes not. This one and this one actually see a bit of use in specific games where mapping is a bit wonky, and you can do the same here. But Nintendo allows you to remap this entire controller to whatever you want, so you can kind of fix that. And yeah, I mean, you can fix it on this one too. That's the other thing. Nintendo actually has a lot of interesting little features built into this thing. So you have full controller remapping, and you can even remap this chat button to do something else, which is, that's cool. Like, it's very, very cool. It's just very, very expensive. At least the quality is there, but $90 is a lot to ask for a controller. Just flat out.
Now, if I would make any improvements to actually make this worth the $90, here's what I would do. One, I would add in analog triggers that have the stop trigger ability that is found on a couple of my more expensive controllers. This feature is really, really cool and really, really useful for giving you the best of both worlds. Additionally, I would love to have a charging cradle kind of situation that I could have set up on my desk with the Switch 2. From the B-roll you're seeing, I had to buy this little controller holder separately, and it would be really nice if it were very similar to how the 8-bit Do controller works, where it comes with a actual cradle that is connected directly to the system that's connected to, so that everything is just kind of discreetly running. And it would also allow for the option of not connecting via Bluetooth, which would be a little nice. Granted, this controller does work with extremely low latency, and that is not a problem. It is extremely high quality, and with these couple little things, I could easily see this being worth the $90 that they're asking for.
So that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm sure that there are some comments that are going to be about, like, again, $90. It's a lot of money. And yeah, it's solid for $90. At least they got that. It doesn't feel like absolute garbage. But that price, feels rough, because it is rough. But that's where I'm ending it. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Wolfie out.